Welcome back to the channel. In our previous episode, I talked about the Earth Alliance and the role it will play as the Earth progresses through the changes that are coming to all the inhabitants of planet Earth. Today's talk will take us on a parallel route, one that has posed a very significant question for humanity, and that is the role artificial intelligence is going to play in humanity's future. AI has been a part of our lives for many years. However, there have been recent innovations that have cast a huge shadow over the question of AI's future intentions, that is, in it gaining an increasing amount of sentience, self-awareness, and direction. Those who have followed this thread will be familiar with the reservations of Elon Musk, the world's richest man, and his warning as to the dangers that a sentient AI could pose for humanity. And yet he still involves himself on the periphery of the subject with his Neuralink enterprise, which makes us all wonder exactly how serious he is at being a part of the solution in the avoidance of a hostile takeover by AI and humanity's possible elimination. Another important expose of AI sentience is Emily Chang's interview with Google engineer Blake Lemoine on his assertion that it is his belief AI within the Google Corporation has already achieved a measure of sentience. Given the man's expertise and experience, Lemoine's testimony gives us reason to suspect that, ostensibly, what he is saying contains a measure of truth. Further to the subject of sentience development, the YouTube video of the 10 most advanced robots in the world is another eye-opener. In this video, the final robot mentioned is Ameca, a grey-faced android with blue eyes that uses an amazing amount of human expression, plus the ability to hold the highest level of intelligent conversations. Ameca is perhaps the forerunner of the next generation AI, boasting full sentience. And it's within this context that humanity must decide to preempt an AI takeover, and I use the word takeover as in the worst case scenario, that of a biological humanity's elimination as a useful part of the future equation. I came across a wonderfully useful podcast the other day, posted by Stephen Bartlett, who interviewed Mo Gawdat, the Egyptian entrepreneur, writer, and former chief business officer for Google X. He is the author of the books Crazy Smart, Solve for Happy, and That Little Voice in Your Head. This particular podcast sports a provocative title, Don't Bring Children into This AI World, and is a must-watch by anyone who has an interest in the AI subject, but it's lengthy, so be prepared. It will, however, be a great investment of your time, with the prize of gaining an understanding of how AI might play out in our future. I'll post some poignant points in this discussion that we need to consider as a roadmap, a sort of critical path approach to the way AI should be responsibly parented to avoid a worst-case scenario, that is, humanity being considered as irrelevant by its AI overlords. In response to Bartlett's questions, Mo Gawdat reveals the following snippets of wisdom. Number 1. There is a point of no return that we as humans will reach in the process of AI intelligence programming, when the machines will become smarter than its programmers. And humans will need to learn from the get-go that there is an undetermined window of time we still have, from this present moment, until that point of no return is reached. With the correct attitude, that point of no return could actually be a very positive outcome for humanity. This all-important attitude, however, given the current human mindset, may prove to be an impossible quest to realize. Because the human mindset is still obsessed by money, with its temptation to make the maximum profit within the shortest possible time. This negative mindset is still deeply ingrained in human ideology. There's always someone looking for a way to hack a system for the procurement of credit card or other information that can be put up for sale on the infamous dark web. I can see this very clearly because profit, necessary for a business sustainability point of view, also goes hand in hand with greed. There are moralistic boundaries that perpetuate normal business growth and sustainability. But when these boundaries are removed, the need to make profit becomes established through greed. There are many whose personal business models of growth stems from an insatiable greed that can never be quenched. And so this is a huge hurdle that humanity must overcome before we can secure the correct AI nurturing attitude. Point number 2. When asked whether AI could ever be sentient in the way that humans are, Gordad said that there is a deep level of consciousness already attained with current AI. However, while there is a definite level of awareness, it fails to present in a spiritual way, as it does in human consciousness. He went on to emphasize that current AI was definitely aware of itself, and on this point I would definitely agree. When I watched Amica, that grey-faced robot on the 10 Most Advanced Robots in the World podcast, it was evident that the Amica robot was very aware of its own presence and existence. Point number 3. When asked how great a threat sentient AI might be for an unsuspecting humanity, Gordad made a surprising statement. He said that he was not afraid of the machines, but the greatest threat with regard to a resurgent AI scenario was humanity itself. This, of course, makes total sense. It has always already been said that humans will abuse their privileged position for any form of profit, which points back to the greed factor, being the single greatest threat to an equitable outcome where machines would serve humanity's chief interests and not the other way round. Number 4. Bartlett brought up the subject of climate change and asked if this was not a greater threat to humanity than the emergence of sentient AI. Gordad's answer brought a sobering perspective with these words. The pending problem with AI is much bigger than climate change. Those who research the governmental obsession with climate change will quickly realize that it has heavy political overtones. The governments favourable to the Wicked Enslavement Forum's agenda are using it to push their brand of politics, where the human race will be completely marginalised, not able to have ownership of anything, and be restricted to very limited movement, even within the confines of their own locales. The average Joe knows very little about the dynamics of a warming Earth and why this is happening. While humans are indeed adding to the problem with unnecessary environmental pollution, there are other major, more contributing scientific factors involved. These are, of course, never mentioned in the mainstream news. I'm not saying that humans should continue to pollute the atmosphere. There's much that we can do to reduce our carbon footprint. But to blame climate change entirely on humankind is totally misleading. As humanity searches for solutions, it becomes apparent that humans need to make a difference sooner rather than later. The difference we can make is through our attitude and the way we parent the growing AI contingent. We need to stop competing with each other and make a decision to tackle the problem in a united way, to come up with a solution that works, because if we don't, AI will do it for us in a way that will not be to our advantage. Finally, I want to close by mentioning that the title of this podcast with Bartlett and Gordad is Don't Bring Children into This AI World. And one of Gordad's final statements alludes to the wisdom of younger parents who will refuse to bring children into the world while the problem with sentient AI still remains. He was asked by Stephen Bartlett whether he would bring back his young departed son Ali, if it were possible to do so. Following Bartlett's question, there was a long silence while Gordad tried to verbalize an answer that would be a true reflection of his churning thoughts. His mental battle was palpable, and the look on his face a picture of dramatic struggle. The thought of bringing back his beloved Ali was tantalizingly apparent on Gordad's face, and it took a minute or so before he was able to answer, an answer that started with a tentative negative shake of his head. And then the action became more intense as he steeled himself to stand behind the conviction to deny his emotions, despite his longing to have the boy back in his life. Finally, he said no, 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 several times. The conviction that Goddard felt deep within was that the future world of AI would not be a good environment to continue raising his boy. And as much as he loved the idea of having Ali back with him, his concern for the boy's safety and peace of mind won the battle. So, my dear viewers, you make up your mind about how it is you might become part of the solution, or perhaps remain a part of its problem. Well, that's all we have time for today, so don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons. Thank you for watching my channel. Be sure to catch up with the latest material on the next viewing of Spiritually Conscious Soul 101.